Hi, good morning everyone. Welcome back to Indirect Knowledge. This is Chandra, and in this reading we're going to be answering a question and trying to get some insight into marriage for Aleida. So Aleida's basically asking, when is she going to get married? Now this is a common question that I get from people from time to time. As we're approaching life and getting on there, people become more and more, if it's in your heart to get married, or if there's something about you that's always felt this yearning to get married, or you felt like it was the right thing or your destiny or dharma, then yeah, you kind of want to figure out that, and you want to find out, like, well, what's going on? Why haven't I gotten married yet? Or when am I going to get married? Or when's the perfect person going to come into my life? Or what needs to happen before I can get married? There's just all these different things that play us at work. A lot of times when people ask me this question, they're trying to figure out, maybe what's going on in their current relationship, and if they're going to marry the person that they're currently with, or they're trying to figure out, like, if this isn't the person for me, it's to kind of get some guidance in order to, like, maybe I need to move on, or I need to find someone else, or something along these lines, or what kind of circumstances are befalling my life in order to get me out there to get married. So marriage prediction is something that is not uncommon. People tend to really want this reading quite a lot. What I tend to do for this particular reading, and all, it really does to vary based on what I know about the person, or what the person decides to share with me. If it's just a question that's coming randomly, like at this, like, when am I going to get married? I don't always know precisely, like, what that person's what's really going on with the person. They just ask me the question, and they're just trying to figure out what I know and let me do the rest, and that's perfectly fine. So what I tend to do in this type of a situation is usually do a 10-card Celtic cross spread, but I do it a little bit differently. It's an adaptation for marriage specifically, to kind of get to the bottom of marriage. And also, we're just going to shuffle these cards here, and I'm thinking about the question right now: when will Aleida get married? A lot of times I can get the answer and stuff like that. It's just psychically that comes to me. It's just something that naturally happens. It's like when I just kind of get in the mode, the zone, so to speak, is how I try to. It's like when the mojo is happening, I guess, is a kind of a way of putting it. I'm sort of a practical person, if you guys can't tell. But at the same time, I just grew up with this gift, and so it's sort of like, how can you really deny what's, matter-of-factly, in front of you, and that's really what I get when I'm doing tarot, when I'm tapping into my psychic ability and that type of thing. So, I don't apologize for it. It's just what it is. So let's just focus in on this a little bit and get a little bit more insight. So I'm going to cut the cards now. No idea what just happened there. That was a weird cut. Okay, so the first card that we're going to look at is overall love, and this is like marriage so far, or it can be, it can just be like what our love life has looked like so far, up to date. So the first card we get, okay, you get the Seven of Swords, and it's sort of like going it alone. And it's like we're trying to take some of these things with us. This, by the way, just let me give you a close-up on it. You can see that. The Seven of Swords. Now, this is the overall picture of Aleida's love life thus far. And sometimes people call this the thief in the night. And this is the person that just kind of goes it alone, is the way that I like to really look at this card. And it's like difficulty maybe making a commitment to the community, or difficulty making a commitment to oneself, and there's that sort of that mental blockage that goes on there. So that's what we have so far. So the next one that we have is issues in love, okay? And this is sort of like maybe possible problems that could happen in marriage, or just what kind of issues we might be having. And so let's look and see what we got. Ah, yeah. This is the Five of Pentacles. So the Five of Pentacles. Okay, so in this particular type of reading at all, oftentimes this card comes up in a business type reading, or someone started a business, or they're getting on with their life, and so they're trying to get some kind of an understanding about what's going on. And what happens with this card is that the person has built a business, they've got a lot of skills, they are, pretty advanced in their knowledge and what they need to do. They know how to make things happen, and they know how to make wealth for themselves, this, that, and the other. But for whatever reason, they've sort of fallen on, hard times, and now they find themselves more destitute. In other words, it's just a nice way of saying that they find themselves a little less well off. So maybe they need a little bit of help to get their business back on track, or they find themselves a little bit more in debt than they would really like to be, or something along that line. So a lot of it. So in this particular case and all, like when it comes to love and when it comes to marriage, the issue that Aleida's really been having with this particular card is just this sense of like she knows like it's like she knows relationships. She's had relationships and she knows what that's like. But for whatever reason, she's just kind of fallen kind of in a slump at this point. And it's causing her some grief. And so it's kind of a disheartening kind of feeling. It's sort of one of those that it's almost depressing a little bit. It's not total depression or anything like that, like we're going to go and do something crazy, but it's just sort of like almost like a desperateness, but it's sort of like, because we know, that we're marriage material. We know what we're able to do, but it's just like we just have had a difficulty committing up to this point. So the next card is in the Celtic cross. We normally call this the crown card, and the way that I like to do this for this particular reading is this is basically where we focus on immediacy, like what's going on right now in the immediate situation. So let's look at our love situation right now. Oh, very interesting. So we have the Hanged Man. This is very telling. The Hanged Man is all about looking at things differently, from a different perspective, in the past, maybe Aleida, you've had a sort of I don't want to say one-dimensional, but more restricted dimensional view of marriage and what that entails. And so you've had sort of like maybe the rose-colored glasses. So we think one thing, but the reality may be something completely different. And when we start to think about that in our head, in our mind, and we think about the things that are, kind of leaving us out in the cold as far as marriage goes and stuff, a lot of times this happens also like when we've seen other siblings, or we've seen other friends, people that we are peers with, and people around our same age, and they're getting married and this, that, and the other, but we're not finding the luck that everybody else has really had. And that's really what's going on right now with Aleida. The Hanged Man is really seeing things from a different perspective. Like, now that you've seen other people getting married, you've seen other people's relationships, you've seen what they're going through, maybe you're getting a little bit different perspective on that. So the next card is the card that it really deals with like the recent past, and this is going to be talking about different relationships that Aleida's had, and really just what's going on just recently, and that kind of thing. Okay, we have the Ace of Cups. Okay, the Ace of Cups is thy cup overfloweth, is always how I kind of think of this particular card. Cups are all about relationships, and that's what we're talking about here in this reading, is relationships. And this is singularity. When we're talking about ones, we're talking about new beginnings. And so there's a new relationship and stuff recently in Aleida's life. Somewhat of a spiritual relationship, or there's some kind of a connection there, like on a spiritual level. This is a really good card. And looking at this card, we see a lot of unconsciousness going on. So there's a lot of things at play in the mind. There's a lot of things like on an emotional level that are welling up. It's a very traditionally spiritual card too. There's a sense of like almost like a soulmate type feeling, or like a feeling of connection from like other lives, or something along those lines. So that's the recent past. And the next card that we really look at is, what is good in your love or marriage life. So what is the good that's really coming out of everything? So um, let's see what's before you here. And we have the Page of Wands. Okay, now the Page of Wands, this is a messenger of taking action, or the messenger of creativity and being creative and things. So what the cards are basically telling you as far as your relationship and stuff goes right now, and the way that you approach relationships, is it's asking you to be more creative in the way that you approach things. Maybe don't be so one-sided, or be so linear in the way that you do things. Let your creativity flow. And if you do that, what's going to happen is you're going to see a new growth in that relationship. And you're going to see this kind of blossom over and over and over again. So the relationship's not going to get old. And I think if we go back to the beginning of this spread and we look at some of the things that have really been there, as far as the overall love situation and the issues in love and the things that we want to focus on immediately and that type of thing, with the Hanged Man, it's just really about seeing things from this different perspective. And the Page of Wands here is really telling you, Aleida, that this is what's really good in your life, is this ability to be creative, to do things differently. You don't have to be the same as everyone else, and you don't have to see things, in exactly the same light as everyone else when it comes to marriage, when it comes to relationships. In fact, that's one of your strengths, when it comes to marriage, is that you can do things a little bit differently. And that's really the message that the card is really trying to give you. So, moving a little bit forward. So we're about halfway done now with the reading, and we're getting a lot of insight. I mean, and that's really the miraculous thing about doing the tarot, and then just things coming to me, at a very unconscious, subconscious level. It's just really coming out. And the more that this goes on, the more that you start to see things unravel as we go through this reading. So now we move into the immediate future. Now this is a really, really exciting time for Aleida. This is the time where we really start to see what is happening moving forward. And that's the exciting part. This is the part that so we're halfway through, but now that we've dealt with what the issues are, we've seen what's good in life, we've seen what's good in life. Now we get into the immediate future. So I'm just tapping into that right now. I'm feeling it. All right. Let's move forward. Okay. This will bring you some good news, Aleida, if you're following the advice that the cards are giving you now. For those of you versed in tarot, you know this card very well, and we all know what this card is. This is a god of fertility. Goddess of fertility, the Empress right here. This is a really, really good card. Venus. So we've got the Empress here. Now, the Empress, she's about family life, and she's about like fertility and growing things and pregnancy. Oftentimes when this card comes up in the future, it's about pregnancy and about babies, and that usually has to do with relationships, and those relationships getting started and moving forward. And I'm happy to tell you that I'm picking that up as well. You are going to find the right person and all. I'm just trying to hone in now about like when that necessarily is going to be. Yeah, and the Empress, by the way, is a 3 card in the Major Arcana. And 3s are all about as about family. So it's about, it could be a man, woman, and child, or 2 women and a child, or 2 men and a child for that matter. It really doesn't matter nowadays, but it is about like that connectedness that comes through family life. So that is there. Let's just kind of keep going here, because maybe I'm thinking that the timing is going to start to come. So the next card that we get is really what the approach is. Now this suggested approach, now we start to get into the final line here of the Celtic cross. And the 7 card here is the 7th position, is actually a very spiritual position. It's about your suggested approach. And so you got to kind of take things into consideration when you're doing this. Like, it's a combination of different factors that have to be considered, and it can get very complex. And so what happens to me is I start to understand these complexities, and they start to, I start to get clues, and I start to get things just from that ethereal world, if you want to call it that, or the subconscious mind, or you know um, let's move forwards. So the suggested approach is really going to be like what you need to do right now. Mm-hmm. Hmm. 10 of Wands. Okay. Again, we're talking about this. Um, this is about taking on a lot, and the cards right now are telling me to tell you not to take on too much more than. This is really about focus, Aleida. So right now you've been putting your energies into a lot of different areas instead of just really focusing in on what it is that you truly want. And what that's doing is you're almost thinking to yourself, if I can just get this stuff finished, if I can just get to where I need to go, if I can just, I've got a few loose ends I just need to wrap up, but if I can just get those done, I can go home, I can relax, and I can really start focusing in on and moving forward with relationships and things. But the problem with that thinking is that step in front of the other, trying to get to the final conclusion of wherever you're at right now with things, that just never happens. It's always like we just keep adding more weight and more weight and more weight onto our shoulders, and it just gets very, very difficult for us to keep going. And so it causes us, not anxiety, but it causes us tiredness. And it wears down on our psyche. And so our personality, our character, the way that we present ourselves to the world, all these things start to change. And the way that other people see us is not the way that we really want to be putting ourselves out there. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. So what this card is telling you as far as your approach goes is that you need to relax. You really, really need to relax. And whatever responsibilities and things that are really like weighing on you, it could be taking care of a family member. I'm kind of picking that up. Maybe a mother or a grandmother or someone. Whatever that is, you need to start to let some of that go. Okay? I'm not saying you don't, look out for family or anything like that, but what I'm telling you is, or worry about family members or other members of your family. What I'm telling you is you need to really start to let some of the worry and things that you concern yourself with others, let it go and start to really focus in on yourself. And that's the approach that you really want to start to take. Worry about your own love life and worry about some of the things that directly affect you at this point. And what will happen, as far as an approach goes here, you'll start to see some really wonderful things start to come into your life. Some really positive relationships are going to start to happen. And it's going to be really, really good for you. And I see that. I see that so clearly. So let's find out now that we understand this and we understand what the approach needs to be with this 10 of Wands. And again, this is about taking action. We're taking on too much action in this particular card. So the card's telling you, don't take on too much. Let go of a few things. And now we want to find out what you actually need to know. Okay, so now we've got this spread. We understand kind of the underlying factors. We see it's pretty obvious. So you're looking at things from a little bit different perspective now, which is good. And still, you've got these other things that are kind of weighing on you and stuff that you need to kind of let go of. But let's find out exactly what you need to know. Oh, you are so fortunate, my dear. You have the 10 of Cups. And in a marriage reading, this is probably one of the best cards that you can actually get. This is probably one of the most emotional cards in the deck. This is like one of the best for relationships. And this is just, it is so, your wishes are fulfilled. So you will get married. What do you need to know though? With this particular card, you need to understand that what you want, what you're thinking about, what you're truly desiring is also desiring you. And so that with regards to the relationship, with regard to Mr. Right or Mrs. Right or whatever the case happens to be, this is here for you. If you let go of all this here, all of these different relationships and everything in your life are going to take care of themselves. And old ways of doing things are going to go by the wayside, and new things are going to start to emerge and blossom and come into fruition for you. That's what this page is all about right here. Now, we've gotten to what you need to know. Let's look at some of the hopes and fears and things like that. This is sort of, I think of this as sort of the attitude card, like kind of like what's going on inside of us mentally. Let's find that out so that we can kind of maybe make some sense of things. Wow. So this is the Eight of Pentacles. Eight's about money. It's about finances. It's about skill set. It's about, oftentimes this is people like maybe doing like an apprenticeship or something, trying to learn new skills to try to get up to speed with things. So there's a career kind of thing, and you're worried about money, and you're worried about finances. So that's kind of what's going on, and it's sort of about like you're just trying to get to a better place. You're trying to really be the best version of yourself that you can be. And in the process of doing this, you're really refining your skills. You're getting things down, and you're trying to like maybe you're hoping that you can, as the old adage goes, have your cake and eat it too. And in many ways, that's true for you. You're going to be able to have that. You're going to have everything that you want, essentially. And with this here, Eight of Pentacles, money's not going to be a problem for you. Like with regard to the relationship, with regard to family life, any of that. It's really not. Your skill set and being able to take care of yourself and being in control of your own finances and things like that, that's really what's going on inside of you right now. And the thing is that you're not going to have to rely on someone to really do all that for you. You will be able to mastermind a lifestyle for yourself that will give you all of the things that you want in a relationship, all of the things that you want in romance, all of the things that you want in a partnership overall. But it's also going to allow you to have this customized lifestyle that you're really seeking, that's really at the heart of where your thoughts and your hopes and your desires, and that's kind of what it is this kind of like I can do things, this independent, free will, free-spirited agenda that you kind of have in this mind of yours. And you're going to be able to get that. Okay, guys, are you guys ready for this? This is the moment of truth here. Overall future love marriage life here. Card, let's pull it out. Am I holding you in suspense? Sorry. We have the Three of Wands. Three of Wands. It's all about that family and that creativeness that's coming about with that to get everything that you want. So, three, I told you with the Empress here, she's a three. What did I tell you with that? This is all about pregnancy, babies. This is about family life. Three is about connection with others. Three of Wands is about getting that family started. And Aleida, that's where things are at right now for you. That's really where things are at. So we have a little work to do. So let's talk. Let's talk. Right now, just seeing ourselves out in the cold, seeing this here, when am I going to do this, this fear, these kind of things, these concerns, these things that are plaguing us. We're looking at things from a different perspective. All of these kind of things going into play. At the end of the day, marriage for you is going to be about 7 or 8 months out, 9 months out. Maybe not necessarily marriage, but definitely the person that you're going to be with is going to be about 7 or 8 months out. It's going to be a good relationship too, but it's going to be one where there's independence involved. He's going to be concerned a lot with his career, doing different things on that end, and he's going to want family life, but it's going to be kind of at the back of his mind, where it's going to be more at the front of yours. So he's going to be, it's actually not a bad situation, and I'll tell you why. If he's focusing on money and getting his life together and things on that end and trying to focus in on that, that gives you a lot of times to really let go of some of that stuff that you've been focusing on too much of, and really start to let go of that heavy burden and start to really focus on the love side of things and the relationship side of things and the preparing for babies and family life and things on that end. And that's where things are going to be at for you. There's going to be that. There's going to be that 7 or 8 months out. Probably about, here's the thing. Okay. All right, now we're getting it. Let's do a 3-card spread really, really quick. I just want to find out around the 7 or 8 month. Sorry for the background noise there. I just want to see for around the 7 to 9 month mark is where I'm really picking up the most amount of energy out for you, for marriage, for relationship, for being with the right person, the person that you will marry. Let's find out what that is. So the first card that we have is the Fool. Okay, this is jumping off the deep end here. This is footloose and fancy free. Let's see what we got here. So this is the 10 of Pentacles. 10 of Pentacles is about, it's kind of our legacy card. This is about like setting ourselves up for a long life together. Perfect. And this card here is the balancing act. Balancing relationships with all that other stuff that we talked about a little bit before. And you're going to be fine at it. 2 is about relationships. So it's definitely there. 7 to 9 months out. That is my forecast for you. That's my prediction. 7 to 9 months out, Mr. Right will come into the picture and all. You are going to get ready for marriage and family life here very, very soon. I'm going to say within the next 2 years you're going to be married, and I'm seeing a daughter in your future. I'm seeing a daughter in your future. Don't ask me where that's coming from. I'm just picking that up. Within 2 years you're going to have a baby girl, and Mr. Right is right there in front of you. So yeah, it doesn't really get any clearer than that. And so that's one of the reasons why I like to do these kind of readings, you guys, especially when it comes to like marriage, is to kind of get an overall picture of where this person's mindset is, where everything is going. And I also get a lot psychically when I do these kind of readings, because I start to really, the personality of the person starts to come into my periphery, my psychic periphery, where I can kind of start to get that energy coming in. I'm also starting to build a narrative, like a psychic narrative that tends to come into play. It's a lot of fun for me, but it's also just really like the way it normally works for me personally is like I get this information and it comes to me, and then in a day I won't remember any of this, to be perfectly honest with you. That's one of the great reasons why I like to do these videos for people, is because oftentimes that's the case. You watch the video, you get this idea and stuff, a couple of weeks goes by, you've forgotten what's actually there in front of you. 7 to 9 months later, Aleida gets, Mr. Right in her life, and then things start to happen, but then her guidance, all of the tarot advice and everything that I've given her is forgotten, and so then she's kind of like, what do I do? What's going on here? Love is hitting me really hard. And if she can just go back and watch the video and get kind of a perspective, then you'll feel calmer. You'll be able to let go of that heavy load. Things will start to materialize for you, and you will just be in a really, really good, positive situation. And so I'm really excited for you, Aleida. I hope that things work out really well for you guys over the course of your marriage. And I have a really strong sense that they are. There's some tradition there too I'm picking up. Like there's some traditional values and things you guys are going to set in place. A really good really good, and money's going to be on both sides of the family. So you're gonna do something professionally or something to make money. I'm not saying so much maybe working for someone as much as maybe having a business or doing something, or having some kind of something you're going to do, making cakes or something. I don't know. I'm just putting that out there, but there's something going on that's going to be fun for you, and you're going to really enjoy it. Something that maybe your daughter is also going to maybe at some point later on in life or later on down the road maybe get involved in, if you're even still doing it at that point. I'm not 100% sure if you'll still be doing it at that point or not, but I am kind of picking up that there will be, you and her will really connect well together. Sometimes when a mother and daughter relationship happens, there's a disconnect. Maybe one is very much polar opposite than the other, but I'm picking up for you that the opposite is true. You and your daughter will really, really connect. You guys will be good friends throughout life, and that will be really powerful, and you'll be a very strong role model for her, and she will really respect you a lot. And your husband, though he'll be more in the backdrop, taking care of things from a financial perspective and doing things along that line. And that's really where I see him at. He's going to be more of this financial grounded type characteristic in the relationship. He's really just going to be this really solid member of the family that just, that's his thing, that's what he likes to do. Don't bother him too much, kind of let him do his thing, and you and your daughter, don't feel like he's leaving you out or anything. He's not. He's always got your best interest at heart at the back of his mind, but let him do his thing, let him be who he is, and I promise you, things are going to be really, really good for you. All right, that's it. That's all I've got for you. I hope this has been a good reading for you. It's been a good reading for me, and I'm feeling really good. So, guys, if you have any advice for Aleida, you'd like to, if you're picking up anything or anything like that, anything that's come into mind, after watching this video and seeing her question and everything, and the reading and what have you, please do one thing. Do leave her some comments below in the video section and all, like if you're picking up anything, some advice, whatever it is. Maybe it's marriage advice, or you've been in a similar situation or something and you just want to give that. It doesn't have to necessarily be psychic advice or anything like that. It can just be like just some good practical advice. Please leave it there for her. And then also, if you guys haven't, go ahead and like the video if you like the video. We always like that. If you don't like the video, don't do nothing. No, I'm just teasing. Do whatever you want. But and then, of course, if you want, go through and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you subscribe to the channel and you hit the little bell notification, the little bell icon here below the video, you will actually get notifications every time we do some more readings for people. And that every time I do a reading, you'll also get notification of that, and then you can watch the video when it's convenient for you. But at least you'll know that another reading was done and all. And it's really fun. You can kind of understand the tarot more, understand what it's like for a psychic to get things and that kind of thing. And just if it interests you, if it really interests you, and I will start to share more insights with you guys as I get them. I know sometimes when it comes to psychics and how they get information, that kind of thing, it's not so well known. Like, it's hard to articulate sometimes. But as I do this more and more, and I've done this for a long period of time, I do have a lot of things that I would like to share. There's a lot of things that have just kind of come to me over the years, and I'm going to try to start to put some more of that into these videos as I can. So you might want to hit that bell notification just for that alone. Even if you're just a psychic and you want to just get a different perspective on things, hey, I'm all up for it. So, but anyways, that's pretty much it for today. I hope that everyone has a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'm going to try and do the same.